What is the most dangerous industry in business? Many would say it's technology, where giants can be toppled overnight. Others might point to retail, a landscape littered with the ghosts of once mighty department stores. But the real answer is commercial aviation. It is a financial black hole. An industry so brutal, so unforgiving, that it has forced nearly every single major American airline into bankruptcy at least once. Pan Am, TWA, Continental, US Airways. All gone, or swallowed by rivals. Even the survivors, like American and United, have gone through bankruptcy. It's an industry plagued by oil shocks, labor strikes, recessions, and global crises. For an airline, simply surviving is a victory. Being consistently profitable is considered impossible. Yet, one airline did the impossible. For 47 consecutive years, from 1973 to 2019, this company printed money. Through the fuel crisis of the 70s, the recession of the 80s, the terror attacks of 9/11, and the financial collapse of 2008, it never once posted an annual loss. What if the secret to winning in the world's toughest industry wasn't to do more than your competitors, but to do radically, obsessively, less? The company is Southwest Airlines. Instantly, you probably picture it. The bright red and blue planes. The flight attendants who crack jokes during the safety briefing. The chaotic boarding process with no assigned seats. For decades, legacy carriers dismissed Southwest as a quirky, no-frills budget airline. They saw the lack of meals and first-class cabins as a weakness. They were wrong. Those weren't weaknesses. They were weapons. While the giants of the industry were locked in a death spiral of complexity and cost, Southwest built one of the most resilient and profitable businesses of the 20th century. Their streak of 47 years of profitability is a record that may never be broken in any industry, let alone aviation. But how? How did an airline that refused to play the game, that broke all the established rules of the industry, not only survive, but utterly dominate for nearly half a century? That is the question we are answering today. To understand Southwest's genius, we have to look past the surface-level perks like free checked bags. The real strategy is a deeply interconnected system of operational choices, each one designed to feed into a single, overriding goal: efficiency. We can break this system down into three core pillars. First, Southwest rejected the very model on which the entire airline industry was built. Since the deregulation of the airlines in 1978, major carriers have operated on a hub-and-spoke system. If you want to fly from, say, Omaha to Charleston on a legacy airline, you don't fly direct. You will likely be routed through a massive hub like Chicago or Atlanta. Your plane lands, waits for passengers from dozens of other flights to connect, and then takes off again. This system allows airlines to offer service to hundreds of destinations. But it is incredibly inefficient. Hubs are congested. A single weather delay in Chicago can cause a cascade of cancellations across the entire country. And most importantly, planes spend far too much time sitting on the ground. Southwest saw this complexity as a fatal flaw. They chose a different path, the point-to-point model. Southwest operates more like a bus route than a complex web. They fly short, direct, frequent flights between cities. This makes their network dramatically simpler. It avoids the congestion of major hubs, reduces the chance of cascading delays, and keeps their planes in the air, where they are making money. This single decision was the foundation of their low-cost structure. It allowed them to fly more routes, more often, with fewer planes and fewer people than their rivals. The second pillar is an obsession with uniformity. Walk through any major airport and look at the tails of the planes. A legacy carrier like Delta or United operates a huge variety of aircraft. They have small regional jets, mid-size Airbus A320s, and massive Boeing 777s for international routes. This might seem normal, but from a business perspective, a mixed fleet is a logistical nightmare. Each aircraft type requires its own set of pilots with specific training. It needs its own team of mechanics with specialized knowledge. It demands a completely different inventory of spare parts, from tiny screws to multimillion-dollar engines. This complexity adds enormous, often hidden, costs. Southwest's founder, Herb Kelleher, made a decision that was seen as laughably simplistic at the time. Southwest would fly only one type of aircraft, the Boeing 737. The strategic benefit of this is immense. Any Southwest pilot can fly any plane in the fleet. Any mechanic can fix any plane. Any gate can service any plane. Spare parts are completely interchangeable. Scheduling crews becomes radically simpler. Training costs plummet. By standardizing their fleet to a single aircraft, Southwest eliminated a massive layer of complexity and cost that still plagues their competitors to this day. It is a ruthless dedication to operational simplicity. The third and most critical pillar is an obsession with speed. Not in the air, but on the ground. For any airline, the most expensive asset is the airplane itself. A modern Boeing 737 costs over $100 million. When that plane is sitting at the gate, it is a $100 million liability. It's not generating revenue. It's only accumulating costs for parking, staffing, and maintenance. Legacy airlines in the 1970s and 80s often took an hour or more to turn a plane. That is, to get it from arrival at the gate to being ready for its next departure. Southwest viewed this as wasted potential. Their goal was legendary, the 10-minute turn. They re-engineered the entire process of landing, deplaning, cleaning, servicing, boarding, and taking off. This is where their other strategic choices paid off. Having no assigned seats meant passengers boarded faster, simply filling the plane from back to front. Having no meal service meant there were no complex catering trucks to coordinate and far less trash to clean. Their high-energy, empowered employees were incentivized to work together to get the plane out on time. While they rarely hit the 10-minute mark in practice, their average turnaround times were, and still are, consistently less than half of their competitors. Think about what that means. If your plane spends less time on the ground, it can fly more routes each day. More routes per day means more paying passengers. Southwest was able to generate significantly more revenue from each individual plane than its rivals. They were sweating their assets for every drop of value. The point-to-point routes, the single aircraft fleet, the lightning-fast turnarounds. These all seem like smart, independent cost-saving measures. But to see them that way is to miss the staggering genius of the entire strategy. There is a single, unifying idea that connects every decision the company made. Here it is: Southwest Airlines was never competing with other airlines. From its very first flight, Southwest was competing with the automobile. Their original business plan was sketched on a cocktail napkin. It connected the Texas Triangle of Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. The goal wasn't to steal customers from Braniff or Texas International, the incumbent airlines of the day. The goal was to answer one simple question: how do we get a businessman from Dallas to Houston for less money, and in less time, than it would take him to drive? Every single strategic decision flows from that one question. Why fly point to point? Because that's how roads work. Why offer low fares? To be cheaper than the cost of gas. Why fly into smaller, less congested secondary airports like Chicago Midway instead of O'Hare? Because it's faster and easier to get in and out, just like pulling off the highway. Why have no first class, no meals, no assigned seats? Because those things add cost and complexity, and they don't get you to Houston any faster. Southwest wasn't in the airline business. They were in the business of freedom. They created a new market of travelers who previously couldn't afford to fly or didn't have the time. They were selling mass transportation in the sky. This absolute clarity of purpose was their ultimate competitive advantage. While other airlines were trying to be everything to everyone, offering international routes, luxury cabins, cargo shipping, and gourmet meals, Southwest knew exactly what it was. And more importantly, it knew what it was not. The Southwest model is a masterclass in the power of strategic focus. It teaches a profound lesson that applies to any industry, from software to coffee shops. The essence of a great strategy is not just about choosing what to do. It's about choosing, deliberately, what not to do. Southwest chose not to have a hub-and-spoke system. They chose not to fly internationally for decades. They chose not to have a mixed fleet. They chose not to offer meals, assigned seats, or cargo services. These trade-offs made them unappealing to a certain type of customer. A business traveler wanting a lie-flat bed to London would never fly Southwest. But by willingly giving up that segment of the market, Southwest became absolutely unbeatable in the market they chose to serve: low-cost, short-haul, point-to-point travel. Their competitors could never truly copy them, because to do so would mean dismantling their own complex, global businesses. You can't be a low-cost, point-to-point carrier and a premium, hub-and-spoke carrier at the same time. You have to choose. Southwest chose its lane and dominated it for nearly 50 years. That is the secret to their success. If you learn something new, hit the like button and subscribe for more strategy breakdowns. And let us know in the comments, what company's strategy should we unlock next?